Welcome to the podcast called Holiday Road, and I'm your host, Scott Wilcox. On this podcast, we're going to explore the world of professional music, but not through the lens of record labels or sold-out amphitheaters. We're going to talk about independent artists, music venues, ground-level industry professionals who make their money the old-fashioned way.
Up in the Midwest, you find a great place to go. You pick up a guitar and watch a corn grow. Sitting on the front porch, sipping on a cup of joe. Way down on Holiday Road.
Today's topic is a topic called talent over title. Now you're probably thinking, well, what the heck is talent over title? In music, usually there are two different types of musicians. There's that type of musician that maybe they start from the time they're really young and they get with a band, they play in the garage with a group of guys or a group of girls. Or maybe they just start writing music really early, or they start playing guitar or whatever it is. They get that passion of music lit in them. And then eventually that music transforms into they want to perform in front of people. Usually the first gig is never paid. If you're lucky, maybe you got something for it. But they work usually free gigs for a while until all of a sudden somebody says, hey, you're really good. I'm going to actually pay you some money to play. Then they get paid a little bit. They do a few more gigs. Eventually you increase the amount you get paid, you increase the quality of the venues that you play, you increase the number of shows that you do a year, and if you're lucky, maybe eventually you start doing it full time. That's a dream for a lot of musicians, but it's a long, hard road, and it takes a long time to get there. You know, it's not always dependent on how talented you are. Sometimes there are amazingly talented people that never get to that level, and there's a lot of things in the way that keep them from getting there. The other side of the coin is those overnight sensations. I guess I could include myself in one of those things. I avoided being a full-time musician for a long time, and then on a fluke, basically a dare from a student, I gave it a shot, and I luckily got on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and everything changed for me. I have some other friends of mine that have also had fantastic opportunities, and their career just seemed to start the next night. But then you hit that point after a while where everybody forgot that you were on Oprah Winfrey, or they forgot that you were on that talent show, and next thing you know, you have to reinvent yourself all over again, but you don't have all those years of experience to know how to do that. So it's kind of fumbling through to figure that out. And some make it and some don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to a few different artists on both sides of the spectrum. Those that, are the diehard in the trenches, playing day in, day out, year after year to build up their clout and their credibility and their music to where they are. And then there are those who got a lucky break, and they were extremely talented to get that break in the first place. But then after the newness wears off and after the fame wears off, how did they reinvent themselves? How did they figure out where they went from there? That's this segment. It's called Talent Over Title.
Locally famous.
Well, this is our segment on the Holiday Road podcast called Locally Famous. What we try to do is we have interviews with music professionals and with venues and people in the music business so that we can kind of find out how they got to where they are, maybe what are some of the hurdles along the way. Today we have a fantastic guy with us by the name of Colin Marshall. He's a fantastic musician, plays multiple instruments, great attitude. I've known him for a number of years. How are you doing, Colin?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. As I said before, I've been wanting to do this podcast for a long time. I get to finally talk to my friends and have everybody listen in on the conversation. So the first thing I'd like to have you do is maybe kind of tell me a little bit about how you got started. I know you've been doing this your whole life, all right? And I know you come from a very musical family. You can talk about that. So how did you first find that passion for music?
Both my parents were really musical. My dad was a choir director and a phenomenal bass player, and my mom taught piano lessons and music in various ways as well. And I remember it was always in our household, and I remember growing up and watching my dad's bands play, and I remember though specifically when I decided that I wanted to do music was we had a videotape of Eddie Van Halen's Van Halen's Live Without a Net performance, and I remember seeing that as a kid, and that's when it all snapped into place because Eddie looked like he was having so much fun.
Right.
And his playing was so phenomenal, and that was my awakening. It was just like, I need to have this in my life, and I need to.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to do. That.
So you got hooked. How long did it take you before you really decided you wanted to try playing out?
Well, that's a good question. I think I had gotten through a couple years of college, and I think I was at the point where I was just waiting till I was good enough, or I felt like I was good enough.
Yeah.
And obviously, I feel like this is probably never going to happen, but I think I remember finally thinking, now's the time. Actually, when I moved to La Crosse in 2010, I was 23-ish, and I'm just like, you know what? I just need to try this. And so I started mostly as a singer-songwriter and trying to put myself out there locally.
Sure.
And trying to get gigs anywhere, for free or for a couple of bucks, and start honing my craft and meeting people in the area. Because I think I also knew I wanted to stay in La Crosse for some time, and that helped a little bit too. And so the first thing I did was I finally invested in some gear, because that has always been holding me back. Was just like, well, I don't have a PA. And so I moved here and got a PA, and then it was just like, okay, now I've committed. Time to get to work.
So you started as a solo artist first, and then eventually tried bands after that.
We did a couple of bands, like in high school, and
So what do you think are, if you could say in the years you've been playing, what is one of the best gigs you've gotten? Like, what's one of the top opportunities you've played for?
We've had some good ones. I will say. So I have a bucket list of, bucket list things. One of them was like play in front of a substantial amount of people, and I didn't really have a number, but we fell into a position in 2012. I was just playing just greasy kid rock in a power trio called 300 Plus, and we were playing at a local tavern, doing full nights for like $10 for the whole night, stuff like that. It was definitely a passion project, but we fell into this position to play for the Oktoberfest, the Maple Leaf Parade.
Great.
And that was just wild, and it was so much fun that day. And I ran the 5 mile that morning, and then got on the float.
You ran a 5 mile and then had to play a show.
Yeah, and it was the long parade. They just did it before they shortened it. And so we played, I think we got on the float at like 9, and then you got to wait. And then we got off the float at like 4:30 in the afternoon. But that was the best. And there ended up being over 100,000 people there. So I was like, check that off my bucket list. Play in front of 100,000 people. Why not? That was a good one.
I agree. I think that sometimes the stuff on your bucket list is stuff that you didn't realize you should have put on your bucket list until you get there. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, this is great. I need to do more of this. So yeah, I agree. Yeah. This summer I've been asked to play on the Budweiser stage for Wisconsin State Fair. So that should be pretty exciting. So
nice. Way to go.
Yeah. So over the years, Colin, what do you think you've learned? For me, looking back, I have a longer career because I'm just plain older, Colin. But looking back, there's a lot of things that if I had done this or if I had done that, things would have turned out differently. Do you have some things that maybe if you had a chance to do it again, would you have done differently, or things along the way that you learned that you didn't think you would learn?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I'm trying to ask the good ones.
I'd say obviously quite a bit. The biggest ones, there's a couple. The first one, going back to getting my own PA, is I would tell that to anybody who's starting out. It's just like get something so that you don't have to show up and then be like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't think about this part. Get some gear to project so that you can play in a fair amount of places.
Now,
and then
I know you had that. Is it a Soundcraft? Is that what the name of it, or?
Oh yeah, the head. I got the Soundcraft head.
Yeah. Was that one of the first ones you got?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think me too. So that's why I remember that, because I think I have the same one.
And I underpowered my speakers. There was a whole thing. Like then I had to learn about how to actually properly do sound. But nothing else though. I still had something. And then one part of my life that if I could do it all over again, I went to Greenville College for 2 years. They had a great recording degree and contemporary Christian music degree, and a lot of, like, I think Jars of Clay came from that school, and they had a lot of budding musical acts. So I went down there thinking, this is it. I'm gonna get in a band and we're gonna, do the whole thing. But I don't know where my head was at. I was 20, and I was so used. I hate to say it, but I think I had the big fish in a small pond syndrome of being at Little Prairie du Chien High School to go to Greenville, and then I didn't put myself out as much as I could have or should have. Mm-hmm. And so 2 years and nothing was really clicking. I did play with a newish Christian band called Elise for a while, playing drums for them, and that was really fun. But then it just came to kind of a grinding halt. Mm-hmm. And I came back home and just was like, I just need to reassess and pick a direction. So I think that would be it. And it's a lesson I need to keep learning, which is, you can have creativity and you can have all these ideas for writing songs, but at the end of the day, you just need to do it. Yeah. Put yourself out there, which is, again, a constant struggle for me. And I hope to get better at it someday. I'm waiting for things to click. But yeah, I think it's just like, you just need to do it.
Yeah. Don't you think that we hold ourselves back so much because either we think we're not good enough, or we have these voices in our head from other people telling us what it's not possible, or we can't achieve this, or maybe we're asking for too much. How many times have I done that? Maybe my goals are just too big, or, we have these little things that we tell ourselves all the time so that we never really achieve our true potential. And
constant, like a constant fear of whatever. It changes all the time. But the biggest thing is with writing some of my own songs, we just put together a video demo for my band, and something I've learned is it really gives you a leg to stand on, and it feels like it gives you more validity. So like we would ask for gigs and then be like, well, what video examples do you have? And it would just be like piddly scraps of things that were good, but they weren't professional at all. Mm-hmm. And so now that I have some video samples and some credentials, like now I feel, again, like before, just more validated and asking for bigger opportunities and pursuing them.
Sure.
But you just got to do it.
Just do it. It sounds like somebody said that slogan before somewhere.
It's familiar, I know. Huh.
Yeah. You should try to trademark that.
Oh man.
So all right, so now's the big question. And I think about this all the time. When you first started, we all have our expectations. We all have what we really expect to happen. Man, I was going to be a rock star by Wednesday, Mm-hmm. And then now after all the years you've been doing it, now you look back and you say, okay, maybe I didn't become a rock star by Wednesday. Maybe I had to readjust, or maybe I had to rethink things. What were your expectations in the beginning versus how it really turned out, and has it made you less apt to try new things, or more apt to try new things, I suppose?
My expectation in the beginning was, I wasn't even like going to college, just didn't even feel like the right thing to do. But at the time it was the pressure by society, and some other musicians too were telling me, like, you have to get a degree in something, just do it, or else you'll end up in a job that you won't be able to make it. Mm-hmm. And so that influenced me enough. But then I thought, well, I'm not going to teach for a while. I'm just going to go play in a band for a while, or I'll go work on a cruise ship or something. Mm-hmm. I think I gave myself a lot of options just being a hermit while I was growing up, and like learning the drum set and finding my passion there, and then learning guitar and then transferring that to bass, and now being able to not, I'm a master of none, but it's nice to have several different options depending on who's looking for musicians. And that's been really fun over the years. But where I thought it was going to be, I thought I was going to be touring and just playing rock and roll and not being super famous, but just like making it and being okay. And like, I look up to you, Scott, because I feel like you've found that mark, and I think about it all the time. It's like, that's cool.
Well, I think that what I've thought is, my definition of making it, I guess, is different now. Okay. When I was younger, I suppose when I was 20, making it meant, being on the stage, mm-hmm. Being that rock star. And now every show I do, I can tell a story, I can sing a song, I can entertain more than just sing. And when I see the looks on the faces of the people at my shows, I know I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right thing. To me, that's making it. You know, I can do enough shows each year that I can support myself, and I absolutely love it. I probably travel more than I should, but my kids are grown, so I can get away with that. But I absolutely love meeting people along the way, and to me, that's making it. Now, if for some reason something hit and all of a sudden it really started going for me, that's great. But I've already had amazing opportunities. I've already been on Oprah Winfrey. I've already been in a Super Bowl commercial and all those other things, and all those things are great things for a resume, but at the end of the day, I still have to look myself in the mirror and say, am I happy with who I am now? You know, and to me, that's making it. So,
can I share something along that line really quick?
Sure.
Too, is I look back, and for anybody listening who might be feeling frustrated that things aren't happening faster, one thing that I think about constantly is like, well, maybe I'm a firm believer in like all things in due time. And I feel like back in the day, had I hit some amount of success beyond, or even beyond my wildest dreams, but would I have been mature enough to appreciate it and handle it, and not, because there's so many sad stories with bands that just, and I had a lot of growing up to do. So
yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing.
I say the same thing. You know, honestly, if I had gotten fame when I was 20 years old, and my songs wouldn't have the same meaning and the same depth that they do now. So,
good point.
You know, I think that my experience makes my music even better. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Colin, for doing this. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. This was really fun. Give me a lot to think about.
Well, great. Well, I hope I'm famous by Wednesday.
Best of luck to you.
All right, thanks. Take care, buddy, and have a good night.
You too.
All right, bye-bye. Well, that was Colin Marshall. I will post on my Facebook page for Holiday Road more information about Colin if you'd like to see one of his shows sometime or where to find him. So thank you so much for coming on out, Colin. Next up on Holiday Road will be a segment called Songwriter Showcase. You'll be showcasing today a song from your host, Scott Wilcox, and a song from Colin Marshall. Sponsoring this episode of Holiday Road are the technology gurus at Creative Computers. Creative Computers of Tomah, Wisconsin provides professional and affordable computer sales and service. They offer free diagnostics and assessments of all repairs. They specialize in desktops, laptops, and gaming consoles. Creative Computers has expanded their selection of cables, adapters, and hard-to-find replacement parts. Call Creative Computers of Tomah at 608-567-0098 and visit their website at creativecomputers.biz. I wanted to be able to do a podcast where I could share my original music as well. I'm going to share one of my songs usually each episode, and then I'll try to share a song from another artist. So this song is a song that's I've kind of become an iconic Scott Wilcox song, but it's also the name of this podcast, and so I thought it was a great place to start. This is a song I wrote called Holiday Road, about the neighborhood where I live.
Summer wind down a long country road, Americana blues singing soft and low. My mind keeps time with a daffodil to the rhythm and rhyme of a whippoorwill. Up in the Midwest, you find a great place to go. You pick up a guitar and watch the corn grow. Sitting on the front porch, sipping on a cup of joe. Way down on Holiday Road. Way down on Holiday Road. Don't need no cell phone, no wireless internet, but we play a game of euchre that you never will forget. You get at your guitar and you play till the fire glows. Way down on Holiday Road. Made in America with some rock and soul. We got a little bit of cheesehead and some good old Creole. We got a little bit of some Motown with some Chicago blues. Then you mix it up with a glass of wine and a bottle of booze, and you got, hey, holiday road. Oh, holiday road. Don't need a Ferrari when you got an ATV. If you think your fire pit is the hottest place to be, when a hot looking pickup sends you into overload, you're down on holiday road. Way down on holiday road. If they're calling you a redneck or a hayseed or a hick, find your way to our place and you'll fit in mighty quick. We'll give you an escort riding on the Rhino, way down on holiday road. Made in America with some rock and soul. We got a little bit of cheesehead with some good old Creole. Little bit of some Motown with some Chicago blues. Then you mix it up with a glass of wine and a bottle of booze, and you got, hey, hey, holiday road. Oh, holiday road. Well, made in America with some rock and soul. Little bit of cheesehead with some good old Creole. Little bit of some Motown with some Chicago blues. Then you mix it up with a glass of wine and a bottle of booze, and you got, hey, holiday road. Oh, holiday road. Oh, holiday road.
As promised, here's a song called Dark Figures by Colin Marshall.
You've reduced into an orb, ever fleeting thought of better days trapped in my heart. You start to glow in lines of past things, but through reality you're soaring. Fresh grass and gasoline, a gentle hand for everything. Dark figures running towards the green light. I get energy knowing that you're out there somewhere. You're touching a car stone in the snow. I paid to rub
Natural Connection, a proud sponsor of the Holiday Road podcast. Located at 1012 Superior Avenue, Tomah, Wisconsin, your best stop for all your alternative health needs. They have organic foods, supplements, and lots of earth-friendly gift ideas. Not to mention a great lunch menu and the best coffee in town. Check it out. Natural Connection. Well, believe it or not, that's all we have for this episode of Holiday Road. Thanks for being our first listeners. I hope you share it with all your friends, and next episode we'll have a guest appearance from Julica Rose Kelly. She appeared on American Idol, she's been on the big screen, and much more. Look for our podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. You can also see my website at scottwilcox.com and check out our podcast Facebook page at Holiday Road. I hope you join us way down on Holiday Road.